Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about trigonometric ratios. To be more specific, we're looking at sine, cosine, and tangent. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So what is a trigonometric ratio? So trigonometric refers to a triangle just like this one right here. The word ratio means it's talking about the ratio of one side to another, okay? Or a fraction for most part, okay? So most of you will know another way to see ratio, another word that you can put in place of that is a fraction. And on the top, for our numerator, we're going to put one side length, and on the bottom, we're going to put another side length of our triangle, okay? And depending on whether it's sine, cosine, and tangent, that's going to decide which sides we're actually including in our fraction, okay? And sine, cosine, and tangent all are ratios that really refer to a certain angle, okay? The acute angles, to be more specific, so C and B in this case, okay? So let's first talk about what sine, cosine, and tangent are, okay? Depending on which angle you're looking at, the sides change, but we're just going to give you the overall general description of what each of these does. So first, let's start off with sine. Sine is what we get when we take a side that's opposite to the angle that we're looking at. Opposite side. And we divide it by the hypotenuse. Okay? So in this case, let's say I am working with, I want to find the sine, and we abbreviate sine with S-I-N. The abbreviations to these are the first three letters of each. So for sine, it's S-I-N, and then I would mention the angle that I'm trying to find the sine of. So let's say we're trying to find the sine of angle C. So I would write sine of C is equal to, I would look at to see what's on the opposite side of C. Well, that would be 3. 3 is on the opposite. So my fraction, or my ratio, would be 3 over the hypotenuse, which in this case is 5. So the sine of C for this triangle would just be 3 over 5. Okay? Now let's talk about cosine. What is the cosine of a triangle or of an angle? Well, the cosine, in order to find the cosine, we take the adjacent side and we divide it by the hypotenuse. So we're going to abbreviate cosine. Cosine is COS of angle C. The adjacent side is going to be the side that's also touching the angle, but isn't the hypotenuse. So here in this triangle, my hypotenuse is side BC, and side AC is also touching angle C, but it's not the longer one, so we call this one the adjacent side. So for the cosine of C, my fraction would be the adjacent side, which is 4, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 5. And now we get to the tangent. What is the tangent of an angle? What is the ratio? Okay, so the tangent just takes the opposite side and divides it by the adjacent side. So if I take the tangent of C, what's on the opposite, we already have that side labeled, is 3. What's my adjacent? That's 4. Sometimes you might have to simplify these fractions. Sometimes you might have to deal with square roots. But this is the basics of sine, cosine, and tangent, okay? This is how you find them for any angle. Now, depending on which angle you're looking at, the opposite and the adjacent side might switch for a triangle. If I were to look at angle B, and say what's the sine, cosine, and tangent of angle B, some of these fractions would change. They wouldn't be the same, because now, with respect to angle B, side AC is now the opposite, and side BA would now be the adjacent. So we would get different fractions. So that's just something to keep in mind. The hypotenuse will be the only side that always stays the same. The hypotenuse will always be the hypotenuse because it's always the longest side. So hopefully now you feel comfortable with being able to find the sine, cosine, and tangent of a right triangle. Like I said, these are all what we call trigonometric ratios. This is one of the first things you learn about trigonometry, which is pretty awesome if you've gotten to this point. As always, if you need to rewind, rewatch, and pause and take more time with this material, by all means go for it. Take notes, pause, and play whenever you feel you need to. Learn at your own pace. As always, I just want to thank you for watching. I hope you learned some math, and I'll see you guys next time.